Hello beautiful people, it's me Cocoa Butter and I'm back. I know it's been forever. I feel like a bad friend. I hope I'm not in trouble and I hope you still like me. I hope you know that I still like you too. You know what? I love you guys. Well, now that I'm here, I'm gonna let you know that my videos for LOCS will be every Sunday. So stay tuned every Sunday. I know I broke my promises in the past. I hope you can forgive me and push that to the side. You can see I have thick locks. So I've experienced some pros and I've experienced some cons. And you guys been asking me tons of questions about thick locks. What should I do to my locks? How can I make it thick? What will happen when it's thick? You're at the right spot because I'm here to let you know. The first pro, number one, the first pro to having thick locks is you do not have to spend hours retwisting your hair. So usually really small, around like 300 to 500 locks. Let me tell you something, it takes her around 3 to 5 hours to retwist. That is a long time. For me now, it takes me about 10 to 20 minutes. Or if I'm moisturizing, going in, making sure that everything is all set and perfected, sometimes I just go and do a real quick job. It takes around 30 minutes. 30 minutes compared to 3 to 5 hours, that is a shorter period of time. Number two, a pro, is your locks, since it's thick, your roots are thicker, so you don't have to worry about thinning roots. Well, not saying that everyone's hair is perfect or that the journey will be perfect, because sometimes your roots can thin depending on what you're doing to your locks. Stay tuned for more videos to find out what you should not be doing to avoid thinning locks. But while we're on this subject, look at my locks. You'll see that the roots are thicker. Since it's thicker, if it happens to get a little thinner, it still looks thick. You see, because I started my locks with a good foundation. It's kind of like building a house, building it on good soil. So if it does happen to rain or some storms come its way, the soil is still good. So if a little bit of soil flows off, the solid foundation is still there. So it's kind of like that. So you start off with thick roots. So if anything happens, your roots can still be a little thicker than what it would have been before. Number three. So a lot of people, they sister locks, traditional locks, smaller locks, they would combine or create sets of 6 locks when they're doing bantu knots, twist outs, braid out styles, or when they're braiding their hair because they want to have a fuller look. But with thick locks now, another pro is number 3, you don't have to combine or put more than one lock into a set because the locks are already thick and have a fuller look, so you don't have to worry about doing all of that. Number 4, pro number 4, when I put my hair into a ponytail, it has a full appearance. So let me give you a quick example. I don't have a rubber band with me, but I'm just gonna pretend like my hair is in a ponytail. So you saw how full that looked, right? Pro number 5. So when I do bantu knot outs, when I pull my locks out of the bantu knots, it looks like an afro. So it's like having a 2-in-1 hairstyle because my hair isn't an afro. It's locks, but it looks like an afro because it's so full and luscious and it springs and it's just like, it's just so full. I just love that look. So you know your hair would just be full and afro-ish and gorgeous. The last pro, well, for me, because of course everyone's experience will be different. You will have more pros and I would have more pros. Or maybe at the moment I can't think of as much pros as there are because there are tons of pros to having thick locks. Another pro is you can dress up your locks with tons of funky, creative jewelries. You can have an edgy look, an exotic look, or you can put pearls in your hair to have a very classy, girly, glamorous look. You know, you can just do so much creative things with thick locks. With locks in general, with natural hair in general. So the first con is a lot of lock jewelry creators, boutiques, shops, suppliers, they don't have a lot of lock jewelries for thicker locks. So you end up spending a longer time looking for suppliers or artists that will create lock jewelries for locks of a larger size. So that's a con, because you know, if you want to look cool too, right? You want to have nice, like nicely unique personalized locks, right? Right. But again, you could always use rings, so it balances it out. Number two, the second con is it takes a long time to dry your locks when your locks are thicker. But you know, it works out if you live in a environment where there's sun outside. Let's hope there's sun outside. And so you could just dry your hair outside. For me, if I'm not in the sun, it could take up to 24 hours to dry. And while it's drying, it smells like something is wet. Like, you know, when you wet a mop? Yes, that's what my locks smell like. A clean mop. Not saying a mop that was you'd use to clean up around the house, but it smells like a mop. Like, right now it's dry and it feels good. I recently washed it yesterday, but that is definitely a con. But once it's dried up, oh, you don't smell that. Your hair smells good. Third con, when you retwist your locks, if you're the kind of person that likes the neat manicured presentation for your hair, when you retwist your locks, let me tell you a secret. The next day or the day after, it will look like you did not twist it. You know why? Because since your roots are so thick, it will unravel. But you can interlock, so there are ways of getting around that. But when you retwist your hair, the day after or the following day, it will look like you were semi-freeforming or freeforming again. It has happened to me, but for me, I don't mind because I like it to be neat. I like it to be wild. I'm in between. I'm all over. I'm all over when it comes to my hair. But yeah, so just so you know. Another con is when you combine your locks, please know that your hair will shrink up again. My locks would have been so long. Right now, I feel like my locks are long and I'm super happy about the process and the progress, but my hair would have been probably like up to here rather than here. I combined my locks 4 times, and each time I combined it, the lock had to go through the whole process of combining, merging, intertwining, spiraling, and then it just lifted up and shooted up the hair. So know that your hair will shrink and be shorter than its current length when you combine your locks. Another con is it took me forever and ever and ever to put my hair in a ponytail. I saw some of my friends with locks with smaller locks putting their hair in ponytails when they were, say, at around 6 months. I had to wait till I was like a year in after I combined to put my locks into a ponytail. It was just too full that it wouldn't come together. So know that, well, again, length has to play a role too, but for me personally, my experience took me a longer time to put my hair in a ponytail. It was just too full and it just didn't want to come together. I don't know what it was, like they weren't friends with each other. I don't know what was going on, but my hair just didn't want to cooperate, and so it took longer. Another con, if you have baby rubber bands like I do, like those small rubber bands, those small black rubber bands, I know you know what I'm talking about. Your hair will just make your rubber bands pop because it's too thick. It's too much hair for those small rubber bands. So you got to make sure you save up and buy some rubber bands at the beauty hair supply store. Another con is you have to make sure you check your locks daily, especially if you're an outdoorsy person who like to go camping and hiking, or just like admire nature and you're usually outside, because things could get stuck in your hair. You wouldn't even notice because of its thickness, especially if you freeform and don't retwist your roots as often. So you'll have more loose hairs. Have like a little afro going on with the locks. Okay, because sticks and stones could be stuck in your hair and you wouldn't even notice. So make sure that you check your hair daily to make sure that you don't have any things hiding in your locks. That it would not be pretty. If you're like walking and sticks are just falling out of your hair. You wouldn't want that to happen to you. Another con is you have to spend more time in the shower when you're washing your hair, because since it's thick, stuff will be trapped in it, like I mentioned previously, so you have to make sure you get everything out of it. So spend more time on your locks to get a full, clean, washed look. So for those people who don't have a lot of time because you're very busy, your schedule doesn't allow say a 40-minute or to an hour washing time, then I'm not sure if thick locks would be for you, because you really got to spend time squeezing and getting in there using your knuckles and like scrubbing and like say partitioning out your hair and doing like 10 locks at a time. I have 36 locks, so like 10 or 12 locks at a time to make sure that you really get into those locks. So yeah, you really need a lot of patience when you have thick locks, a lot of patience. It takes a lot of maintenance, but it's totally worth it. People ask me if my locks are heavy, and fortunately they don't feel heavy. A trick to prevent heavy locks is to wash your locks, because dirt can cause your hair to feel heavier. Imagine when you wash your hair, you just feel lighter, right? You're like, ah, you just feel so light because all the dirt is washed away. So just make sure that you wash often. So not only do you have to spend a long time on your hair when you're washing, so that's a thorough wash, but you wash your hair often, please, okay? Thank you. Last but not least of all the cons. So negative, right? I'm like on a negative part right now. I'm sorry, guys, but it's the truth, and I just really want to help you out. So last of all the other cons is you want to make sure that you pay attention to your locks, because lint can get trapped into thick locks, and pulling lint out of thick locks is like performing open heart surgery, because you really have to get in there, grab a needle, a pin, something with a sharp edge. You really have to like maneuver your way through the locks, because let me tell you now, it's like a tunnel, because since there's so much hair trapping the lint, holding it hostage, you just have to make sure that you really go through the spaces and pull the lint out. It takes a lot of time. So you want to make sure that every night before you go to bed that you go into your locks and you check your locks to make sure there aren't any lint. I'm not perfect, guys. I don't do it every night. But I tell myself that I should do it every night, because once those lint gets embedded into those locks, it's a nightmare. Because I found for myself, I had to experience this myself. While pulling out the lint, my locks started to pull out too. And I was like, come on, I don't want to have to go through this whole process again. So one of my locks, I need to find it. I probably won't find it right now. On the bottom, I had to like redo it. Like I had to braid the end because I ended up having to like comb it out. Yes. I know. Some people don't really care about the lint, but I care, so I make sure that I get all the lint out, because I want my locks to look good. And I want your locks to look good too. That's why I'm here, to share the pros and cons of thick locks, because I want to make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. And for those of you with thick locks that want to find new ways of dealing with it, I hope this video was helpful. I love you guys, and I'm so glad I was here to share my journey with you. I hope you're having a blessed day, blessed afternoon, blessed night, depending on where you are in this world. Bye! Don't forget to subscribe so that you can see new videos every Sunday. I'm also doing fashion videos too. So for those of you who are interested in revamping your wardrobe or just find out new tips and tricks in regards to fashion, please follow my page. Come back this Sunday. I'll be waiting for you. The door's always open. I'm for real this time. This Sunday.